When I first started with DOT, I actually worked for a while in our materials and research lab, and I used to deliver samples to not this facility, the old facility, back in the day, in an old yellow van that didn't have air conditioning. And let me tell you, when they appointed me to go do that on a weekly basis, it was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. But my career with DOT was a path to traffic safety. And like Andrea said, once I got into traffic safety and into the community traffic safety teams, and I had the opportunity to work with so many incredible people, I too found my passion, and that's where I stayed the majority of my career. Jerry said something up here a little while ago about that it's not just you, that in these rooms you meet all these other people that help you with your programs. And if your programs are anything like mine, we're all working on a shoestring, trying to do more with less, and a lot of times everything falls on one person's shoulders. So if you're able to disperse the load and share it out and seek resources and ideas from other people, that makes you a better employee all the way around. I'm going to deviate for just a second. The gentleman in the law enforcement outfit who's looking right at me here, can you stand up? Yes. Can you tell me why you're here today?
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy traffic enforcement and traffic safety, and it's a way for me to actually interact with people in and out all day long on a positive level, because everybody looks at law enforcement at a negative level. This is a way for me to be a positive influence on the society and my community.
How long have you been a member of your CTST?
Off and on about 2.5 years.
Okay. And where are you from?
Eatonville, Florida.
Okay, excellent. You're in my backyard. In the yellow and gray sweater. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to point, try not to point with one finger with a hand.
Deborah Bland, and I was overseeing kids for a decade. I met Dr. Willis, and she had to come to CTST. I'm like, CT what? Is it a children's program? She goes, no, but you need to be there. So I went there kicking and screaming and whining a little. I went to the first meeting, and I was sold. I went there ever since. It's great for my program, for our communities. I've just switched counties myself, so I'll get involved in the Putnam County. But it's a great place to meet people. The counties I've been in are very positive. It's a great way to make contacts and to know what's going on in the community. You think you know what's going on, you go, you're like, really? So it's a great place to share ideas and to get other information.
Okay, thank you. Art, I knew your name.
Wow. Well, I'm here for multi-reasons today. One reason is because I've been a member of CTST for a long time, and as Andrea said, Robin's been there a long time, and certainly a leader of this whole state in programs along with several other. One thing I'm here for today is to try to get the coalition and see where we need to go to be back where we were before. We had a strong coalition that not only represented this state here in the state, but represented this country in leadership. And I think we need to be back there. The other reason I'm here is I'm the chair of the Florida Police Chiefs Association Traffic Highway Safety Committee, where a lot of things have been passed the last couple of years coming through our association. And so I'm here to support that. I'm here for y'all to support us and figure out what we can do to go forward, but build things and become stronger again in this coalition and get our name back out there.
And Art is absolutely right. This coalition has received national attention. When we used to be able to travel, a lot of us have been hindered by that, and I think that's part of what might have caused a little bit of a downslide in the coalition is those limitations, and again, being asked to do so much more with so much less, and everybody's plate is so full. You know, sometimes I wonder, you know, how do you spread it all so thin? You know, but you just kind of do the best you can, and you find out what means the most to you. Now, the great thing about the CTST, it's the 4 E's: engineering, education, enforcement, and emergency medical services. But every single team operates differently because it's a grassroots program in your own community. So your CTST may be very strong in child passenger safety. Somebody else's may be in enforcement activities. Somebody else may be in pedestrian activities. Every team is very, very different, and you work with the strengths within your team. Maybe you have a passion that nobody else in your team shares, but the beauty of it is that you can learn about those other passions, and who knows, maybe you become passionate about that same situation. I will tell you, when child passenger safety first became a certified certification program through AAA, Nina Barker and I, many years ago, for those of you that know Nina, many, many years ago, I was at a Southeastern Engineers Conference up in Tennessee, and Nina was there, and she talked to me quite a bit about child passenger safety, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. 40 hours to learn how to put in a car seat? It can't be that hard. So she kept, you know, Robin, really, you are in the traffic safety arena. This is something that is gonna be big. You need to get on board here. It took me a long time to finally commit that 40 hours. And when I did, I said, my goodness sakes, it's a wonder I ever survived as a child myself with all of this, you know. But I will tell you all that I went on to become an instructor. I'm still an instructor. I have conducted many, many classes. Our program in Seminole County, we probably distribute on average each year about 125 car seats to the disadvantaged. We have had, you know, probably 200 technicians go through, and I always start out my classes. I'm sure you're wondering why it's going to take us, now it's 32 hours, to give you all this information. But again, this is where you go in and you learn about different things, and then, you know, maybe your passion's lit a different way. But again, this team, this coalition was truly a force to be reckoned with. When we traveled around, everybody knew the Florida CTSTs, and everybody knew the coalition, and everybody knew all the tremendous things that were coming out of this group. I think it's fabulous that Andrea worked so hard and was dedicated to pulling this group back together. Because I think it's what we all needed. And as the coalition goes forward, I hope that all of you, if you're a manager, if you're a supervisor, you'll find those dollars for travel. Because it's truly in these kind of meetings that all of these great programs come. Teleconferencing is good, it works in a pinch, but it shouldn't be what everybody's lending themselves to for the coalition meetings. It really needs to be face-to-face. And even if you can't make every coalition meeting once a quarter, if you can just make 2, if you can just make 1, but you really, really should make an effort to make them face-to-face meetings once again, because this truly is how you take these programs back to your team and things grow, and it can be great again. So having said that, now Maria, you did tell me how this worked. And,
down button. Oh.
Next, I see that now.
Yeah, all you gotta do is hit this.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, my pardon. Okay, April 4th, 1995. So we're almost at 20 years. This is a big deal for a voluntary organization. How many of you have been a part of a voluntary organization that has been in existence for 20 years?
This one.
This one? Is it this one?
Mm-hmm.
What organization?
Volunteer fire department.
Okay, excellent. Volunteer fire department. And some of you, as I looked around, I'm thinking, I know that person. I really do know that person. And we're just all, you know, aging gracefully and trying to figure it out as we go along. So if I look at you for a little while going, I might know them, you're going to have to bear with me because I am getting older as we speak. The coalition, one of the things on here that I said, which I think is very important, we used to know how many teams we had, and we used to know how many counties we represented. And I researched that for the last couple of weeks. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find anybody who knew. There are 67 counties in the state of Florida. We have 7 districts. We ought to be able to determine how many community traffic safety teams we have and what counties they represent. So I would encourage you to share that information with somebody. If you know how many teams you have in your community, in your district. It would be nice to have that number accurate. So when we all first began, kind of started right here. Who knows Teresa Scott? Teresa was our first coalition chairperson. And it was actually Teresa who created my passion for the coalition when I went to my first coalition meeting. And I want you to know, when I went to my first coalition meeting, I was sent because the person who was supposed to go felt like it was a punishment. Truly. So I was sent. And I'm so grateful that I was sent, because it really became something that I still hold very near and dear to my heart. But that was in April of 1995. Well, believe it or not, that's me, a little thinner, a little younger, back in the day. I was the coalition chair from 96 to 2000. Ken Hartman was the District 7 engineer in Hillsborough area. That year, our team won CTST of the year. We were very proud of that. How many remember Walter Wobig?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Walt is up in Minnesota now, and he's a police officer up there. I think he has an accent. But Walt did a great job with the CTST, and again, very, very passionate. He's in Proctor, Minnesota. I bet he's got some long johns on this week. And look at here. Here she comes again. Can't get rid of her. Again, came back as chair. Dave Fechter, also from District 7. He was with HNTB. Dave had a lot of passion, and he is actually the one who took our best practices as a paper project through a Lifesavers Conference and received tremendous recognition. It was really a tremendous opportunity. Oh my God, lady, will you please go away? This was my last stint. I didn't even put the end of the year because I couldn't remember what the end of the year was. I'm like, I'm just going to leave it blank. But it has been truly an honor and a privilege to be a part of this organization. And it's developed my career in a way that I'm very proud of. So to all of you who influenced me along the way, and many of you did, I want to thank you all for that. Together, everyone achieves more. I truly believe that. Susan Boda. Susan, I may have the dates wrong on here. I did the best I could with research. But I stole this, Susan, from something I found on the internet about you, that you wrote, that your grandmother said, many hands create light work. And then Susan added to that, many minds create awesome programs. And that's true, absolutely true. So Susan, I was Facebook stalking you when I found that. Hope you don't mind. Sheryl Bradley with HNTB. Sheryl served as our chair recently. And then Vicki Castro, and Vicki must have all her information locked down tight because I could not stalk her. I tried. But at one time, this map represented our CTSTs. I know that map is not accurate anymore. And along with how many teams we have and how many counties they represent, I'd love to see this map updated so that we can, again, show the powerful things that we're doing in the state of Florida. So here's a few of our teams. Don't look at the fashion. They might have changed over the past 20. Some of you may recognize yourselves. Who do you see up there?
Peter's on the right, and Bill on the front row on the far right. You remember he died?
Yep.
Several years
Yep,
ago.
that's right. So some people have come and some people have gone throughout. Somebody's pregnant. Their child must be in college by now. Here's a few of our successes. We won the Edmund R. Ricker Award one year. We've Reynolds Right Hands was one of our groups that was a 2010 finalist for Act Out Loud. Andrea, I see you guys are holding a plaque there. Do you know what that was for?
Team of the year.
Team of the Year. So we've done a lot of great things. Bike safety. I heard quite a few people talk about their bike safety initiatives. The Florida Traffic and Bicycle Education Program statewide, that's changed a little bit over the years. Do you think it's better? Think it's stronger? Do you think it's as well known? If you don't think it's as well known, then that's part of what this is all about. How do we make it more well known? What do we need to do in this room to see to it that the information that's there gets disseminated out to the other counties and to the other areas? The Florida Bicycle Law Enforcement Guide, does anybody keep up with that anymore? That was a great tool. I know when that was introduced, the law enforcement officers were so grateful to have that because it really helped them out in the field on their job to have a better understanding of exactly what the laws were. And it was just an easy little pamphlet. Train the Teen Trainer Bike Rodeo Program, Hillsborough County. Jeanette, is that still going on?
That was a grant that we did years back, but we have expanded it tremendously through Safe Routes to School funding.
Okay, so now it's taken on a new life through Safe Routes.
Yeah, it continued.
Okay, excellent. The Alternative Transportation Education, does anybody know what that is? That was the Bike Ed adult training program that was sitting on a shelf that we got a judge in Seminole County to agree after a lot of research. We had one year our fatalities in Seminole County spiked to like 64, which to some areas that may not be a lot, but to Seminole County that was a lot when our average was about 40, 42. And we looked at all of the fatalities, we looked at the reason, we looked at the age, and what we found that the majority of them were white males in between the age of 45 and 55 who had their license suspended or revoked. So here are these white males who haven't probably ridden a bicycle since they were 10 or so, who have proven that they're not good drivers. And so their license is taken away and they're told that to get back and forth to work, they're going to have to ride a bicycle. Again, they weren't good drivers and they haven't been on a bicycle since they were about 10. So as a result, that was the majority of our pedestrian bicycle fatalities. Yes, sir?
Was alcohol involved in a lot of those?
In some of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but not in all of them. What the glaring cause was that they were uneducated about how to safely ride a bicycle. So the Alternative Transportation Education Program was the adult cycling program, was taken off the shelf, dusted off, dressed up a little bit, and Judge Carmen Bravo in Seminole County, when anybody came before him and their license was to be suspended or revoked, he mandated that they attend this class. Cool. And so as part of the class, they learned how to read a bus schedule, how to properly load their bike on the bus, how to maintain their bike, and then the rules of the road for riding a bike. Now, whether or not it had anything to do with it, those fatalities decreased. I'd like to say it had something to do with it, but that program is available if you can find someone judicially who will buy into it. More Health Incorporated is another bicycle safety program. So that's just a small sampling. So if you are interested in bike safety initiatives in your community, there's an abundance of fabulous programs out there. It just depends upon what your issue is and what your initiative is. This was the Alternative Transportation. Child passenger safety. Titusville was very, very strong in the child passenger safety program when Reggie Bell was there. He did a tremendous booster seat distribution program over there. He worked with a lot of the youth in a lot of the different areas over there, and he was an advocate for the entire time he was there. W.H.A.L.E, we have a little emergency. I understand that's going to take a spin and be reinvented. So that's really wonderful news. We have a comprehensive child passenger safety program I mentioned to you in Seminole County. So there's plenty of programs out there. A lot of people are doing tremendous things. We now have a booster seat law. Is it the best law? Probably not. But Can it be better? Absolutely. And it's only through these types of organizations, these types of initiatives that it can be better. And it takes all of us. You know, it truly does take a village.
Ms. Barber, you mentioned child passenger safety. You failed to say anything about the Florida Occupant Protection Resource
Oh,
Center.
thank you, Ralph.
This whole group should know about that.
Allison Tillman is here with us today, and Allison mentioned when she was introduced that she had the Occupant Protection Resource Center and that she serves statewide, for those of you that didn't hear her say that. Allison, would you like to say anything about the Occupant Protection Resource Center?
Sure. Dr. Morty Willis is our state planner, and so we're glad to have her as a person who will answer any questions at all about CTS, anything. But we run the buying the stuff and distributing the stuff and any stuff that you could possibly need for doing your jobs as a CTS technician, or scholarships, training, printable materials, car seats is a big, really huge thing, nearly $500,000 in car seats that we can distribute around the state to CPS technicians and for you to distribute through your local programs. And so there's lots of things that we can do through the center to help you do your jobs better. And that's all. Thanks to the FGOT Safety Office for bringing us. So yeah, definitely look us up and use us. That's what we're here for.
Thank you, Allison. So the Occupant Protection Resource Center has changed over the years. There was one many years ago, back in the day. Things modified, changed, grant funds changed, focuses change, and so now we have, again, a new improved Occupant Protection Resource Center. So if you have a child passenger safety program, it's a wonderful resource, and I encourage you to look it up. Gift of Love. This was a program where the schools, how many of you have ever been to a school drop-off location or pickup and seen the teachers and the faculty helping kids in and out of cars? Kids jump in the car and they still have their backpack on and nobody has a seatbelt on and nobody has a booster seat. I mean, that's a little disturbing. This group actually worked with the schools and worked in that pickup line. So those are some things that can be done. Maybe you can't do it with every school in your area, but if you start it with one, then you can go on to the next and go on to the next. And the great thing is, administration at schools, or at least in Seminole County, they change, they move around. So if you work with a school at one location, there's a possibility one of the administrators will go to another school. And so it's an easy transition for you to work with that school in another location. So one of the ideas for how to get the information out there. As I mentioned already, we've run many technicians through our program in Seminole County. I think probably like everybody else, retainage is a challenge. I'm a little bit of a bulldog with our technicians. I make sure that I have everything available for them. It's easier for me because I know what they need to do to tell them than to just say you need to recertify and have them go figure out how to look it up. It just works out better. It helps me retain technicians. You have to do what works in your area. But we do offer in Seminole County every single month, a person can go to 11 different locations and get their car seat inspected to make sure it's properly installed. And then we have 6 classes for distribution for people who are financially challenged. Now, our program is strictly for people in Seminole County, and they have to meet our financial criteria. And we do require a $30 donation. We do not distribute free seats, because if I distribute free seats, then I have no program. So you may have people in your agency who may say to you, oh, well, they can't afford it, just give them a free seat. I'm sorry. There's a $30 donation requirement. That's not appropriate, and I do require it. I also require that they go to a class so that they learn how to properly use that seat. I don't think that I'm doing a good job if I'm just standing on the corner handing out seats to anybody who says that they need one. I need to make sure they're educated on how to use it and that they've got some buy-in to the program. We've been charging $30 for seats for many years. I've never had any issues. So if you don't charge for seats in your area, it's not as difficult to implement as you might think. It went pretty well. The whale check, I'm going to let Andrea talk about that. Oh, no, Andrea doesn't want to, her voice. I'm going to let Moria speak about that. Can you talk about that a little bit
It's
now?
in my presentation.
Okay, never mind, it's coming up. Impaired driving. Now, impaired driving may not be as critical as it was when we started the coalition 20 years ago. I'm not saying that it's not critical, but I think our new demon is texting and driving. I don't know that from any documentation other than just visual observance of people out on the road with their nose buried in their phone and not looking up. But I do think that, you know, probably within the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to have data, seriously strong data, that's going to support the cell phone usage. Again, we have a law now. I don't know that it's a very strong law, but down the road, maybe it can get better. Just, you know, one of those new initiatives. But impaired driving, celebrate safely. Columbia, Clay, and Duval counties were very strong in that. All of this material is out there for anybody who might be interested in any of these programs. If you don't die, Orange County had that program. Seminole County has a mock DUI program. I know a lot of other counties do. And our program in Seminole County, I learned it from Plant City at a CTST coalition meeting. And we've been running our program for 12 years now. But I learned it at a CTST meeting. And I went to Tallahassee to see one in Leon County so that I had an idea. Mine may not be like somebody else's. Some people use the Grim Reaper in their mock DUI programs. Works very well. Some people do a ghost out. So you can modify it to be whatever it is. Just because, you know, somebody does it one way, you don't have to imitate it completely. Switch it up. Change it to what works best for you. Now our program, 12 years running, I just found out this year, which was kind of hard for me, the funeral home that has been our partner with us for the whole 12 years, they're struggling fiscally to support us the way they have in all those years. The flower company that's donated flowers to our program for 12 years can't do it anymore. I mean, I have to appreciate that they did it for 12 years. But now they've said that we'll have to buy our flowers and there's a $400 minimum purchase. Whoa. So I probably will be going to the Dollar Tree and getting some fake flowers because, you know, we don't have that kind of money. But I can't fault them. They're a business and they've been donating and supporting to us from the very beginning. But those were a couple of things. AAA Auto Club South has always offered us our towing. They can't do it for us anymore. So sometimes you just have to back up, reinvent yourself, and try to figure out a better way to go, or a different way to go, not a better way. That wasn't right. Celebrate safely. I saw some of those out here on the counter. So if you don't know what Celebrate Safely is, please stop and pick one up. This is our mock DUI program. If you look at the picture on the top right, we have a makeup artist, Anthony Bowman. He's one of our firefighters. And Anthony also has worked at Halloween Horror Nights for the last 12 years. So he has a lot of fun with the gore. But the great thing about it is the kids love it. These are kids at the school that we use. So it's really a perk for them because people up in the football stands, they don't really see that to that detail. But he has a lot of fun with it. And I don't know if you can see the young girl on the right, but I love this picture and I've used it for years because her emotion is so raw on her face as she's watching that presentation. So I know it works. Occupant protection. Nassau County did Battle of the Belts. That was a great program. I always wanted to emulate it. I never had the resources and the people that I could pull together for that. I'd like to see something like that happen in my county, though. The Battle of the Belts with teenagers, that is just a really incredible program. Duval County has the Comprehensive Child Care Injury Prevention Program, and Orange County used to do the Ghost Out. I don't know if they still do, but they used to do the Ghost Out. Battle of the Belts, just a little bit of information. 3 sport rival high schools participated in the challenge, and the high school with the highest seatbelt usage was awarded $1,500. So, you know, there's sponsorships out there. You just have to find somebody that might want to put their name on it. Orange County's Ghost Out, again with the Grim Reaper. I've never used this in any of my programs, but I've heard tremendous things about those who have. All you need is somebody with a desire to be in a costume and go around and work with the kids, especially with the middle school and the high school age. How many of you know that that's a little bit of a tough age to reach? So you have to almost speak on their language somehow, something that they'll go for. It's kind of like bikers. You know, you got to find out what can you do with bikers. We have a cornhole set, and we use the DUI goggles during bike week. It works. So we can get the bikers over to the cornhole, and then we can get them in the DUI goggles, and it gives them a different perspective on when they're traveling, even if they've just had, you know, a beer or two. It gives them a different perspective on how they really do see things and how they react. School zone safety. Hillsborough County has done a tremendous program down there. Gary, can you talk about that just a little bit?
Well, I guess it was when Safe Routes to School got started, we were having problems like everybody else finding projects. So I reached out to District 7 and I said, why don't we do a pilot project, make every school safe? So the first thing we did was we bought flashing beacons for every elementary, middle school, and high school. And I think we have 200 schools, so it was quite substantial what they offered us. And that's how I got started. My idea, talking with Jeanette, was let's start at the schools and work our way out, making it safer. Because a lot of people are putting in for sidewalks 5 blocks away that didn't continue to connect to anything. So let's start at the school and work our way out. And the Sheriff's Office bought into it. We got the enforcement.
And how many years has your program been successful now?
10 maybe. Now I've got to guess 10.
It starts to run together after a while, I know.
Yeah.
But that's a partnership program where they took information from other things, got the city involved, got the sheriff involved, and everybody worked together. And
I know that probably doesn't sound like much, putting flashing beacons every school.
No, that's
10
huge.
years ago, I'm sure there's still schools out there today that don't even have
that. So that's a huge deal. So when you get that kind of support, that's tremendous. Walk Your Child to School Day. Yes, ma'am.
Robin, this year the state of Florida exceeded all other years. We had 392 schools participate in Walk to School Day. We were the second state in the nation.
All right. That is wonderful. You know, several years ago, well, it's probably been more than several, but there was a time when National Walk Your Child to School Day always fell in Seminole County when we had a school break. For years. It was like, oh my God, are you kidding? We couldn't do it for years because of, well, I mean, we did it, but just not on National Day, because it always fell during this break time in the school. Something to consider when you are doing programs. What's the school calendar? Something to consider. Crossing safely, a school zone, crossing public awareness. School zones, I know, are a big challenge for probably every county. Probably rurally, you might have a little more challenge. Although, I don't know, in a more urban area, with all the congestion, maybe you just don't see that big 100-foot long yellow bus. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I see Glenn Hammers in the back. I haven't seen Glenn in a while. But Glenn and I go way back to Seminole County with the School Safety Advisory Committee and the CTST and the school zone crossing and the buses and things of that nature. So Glenn, it's nice to see you. We did many, many years ago mock DUI, a mock bus crash. Now that's a big feat to do something like that. But again, it's another project that you can certainly do in your area. This takes a huge amount of resources and a huge amount of planning. But it's a really good training exercise for all concerned. I think that anybody who works in the school system and works with bus transportation can see the value of something like this. Walk Your Child to School Day. I think we need to update the PowerPoint to include that in 2014, Florida was second in the nation. A couple of other ones. Who remembers the Safety Angel?
I do.
Safety Angel, that was Angela down in District 4. She was the Safety Angel. She created her own costume, and she used to wear roller skates, and she went into the elementary schools, and the kids loved it. Loved it. Probably wasn't one that I was going to buy into. I couldn't quite see myself in the roller skates and the angel costume.
With wings.
Yes, it was kind of a contradiction, you know. Carl's Safe Crossing. Our crossing guard program, our crossing guard coordinator in Seminole County has just done a phenomenal job with our pedestrian safety issues. Every crossing guard in Seminole County is a certified bike helmet fitter.
Cool.
And they do all of our distribution.
That's awesome.
So they see the kids that don't have a helmet, and they're issued a little citation kind of thing. It's not a real citation, obviously, but the parent is invited to get in contact with them, with the school, with the crossing guard program, to obtain a bike helmet for their child. The crossing guards are all certified, can fit it properly, and they do a contract to make sure that the child is going to use it and things of that nature. Cool. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Didn't take a lot to do it, but it's tremendous that they're doing it. This is their Carl Safe Crossing. They work, all of their guards are well versed in traffic safety initiatives. So that's just another set of eyes and ears out there for you. Interstate Corridor Enforcement, Duval County. I know Orange, Osceola, and Seminole have also done that, where they've done multi-county enforcement activities. School bus stop, we work very closely in Seminole County with our school transportation safety officer. All the bus drivers, if they're passed, they make note of it. And those are the locations that our law enforcement targets if we have, you know, multiple passings in an area. Bike safety helmet use, Hillsborough County. The ITS overhead crosswalks. Can you talk about those a little bit, Gary?
I'm not sure.
I don't know what it means. I'm not sure what that means either.
The intelligent transportation system had something to do with the signal.
Talking about the wigwags.
Yeah, maybe that was, yes.
The hawk, because Pinellas was one of the first counties to get the hawk signal.
Yes.
And the wigwags and all the things where they upped the.
And did they do that through
pedestrian
grants?
safety.
Do you remember?
I don't think it was
Safe
through
route?
grants.
Mm-mm.
It was probably safe routes or just safety programs per se.
Okay.
Safety dollars.
Okay.
It was the experimentation that Peter did with the request to experiment through FHWA.
Okay,
So
Federal
it's
Highway.
FHWA.
Okay. All right, so that was through Federal Highway. Here's the Safety Angel, for those of you that have never seen the Safety Angel.
On roller skates. On roller skates.
She's brave. She's brave. But look at those kids. You know what? Those kids were relating. Sometimes you got to do whatever. You got to work with your audience.
She had him say it.
She was, yes, she had a little song that she sang with them, something about safety. I don't remember the song, so I won't sing the song. But if anybody does remember the song and wants to sing it, please let us know. School bus stop arm violation, that was staged, just so you know. Red light running. Red light cameras have taken over where the red light indicators once started. But you can kind of see where it all began way back 20 years ago with the red light running campaigns. Multiple DUI arrests at large checkpoint activities for our law enforcement. Do any of you do multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional activities? You know, and those get a lot of great press. I think somebody said that sometimes as a law enforcement officer you don't get to work in a lot of, you don't receive a lot of positive feedback because, you know, you're always arresting good people that didn't do anything wrong. But I know the jails are full of them, right? Yeah, go figure. But it's an opportunity to let the community see, you know, some positive things that are being done to combat issues in your area. Grade crossing safely. This is especially important now with the new commuter rail systems, especially in the Central Florida area. Big train, little car, are you past the stop bar? Those are some signs up out in some areas, maybe in Seminole County. Motorcycle safety.
Oh, jeez.
Which one do you like? Yeah, your brother-in-law gets your bike. Bummer. And protect your melons. It's a little play on words there. It's two people on a motorcycle. Wear your helmets. So, but you got to work with that audience. You know, who are you dealing with? When you go to Bike Week and you set up a table and you have things that talk about drinking and driving and things like that, you're probably not going to get a large crowd at the table. You're just not. But if you bring out a couple of cornhole boards and some DUI goggles, you might get some people over. And if just one person walks away wiser, then your mission is accomplished. You just must know that. Your mission is accomplished. This was a project, I keep it on here just to remind everyone that you have to be willing to try things. This project came to us in Seminole County. We have a very unique situation on a multi-lane roadway, but it's only 2 blocks long, where there's a large hub for Lynx bus drop-off. There's a high-life fronton on one side, and there's a vacant lot on the other, and there's a lot of rental residential property back there, so there's a lot of bus traffic. And we had a lot of pedestrian incidents over there. So somebody had seen this pedestrian flag project in Seattle, I think, or maybe Oregon, somewhere where they're much more open-minded about these kinds of things. And they wanted to do it here. And I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know that that's going to work. But we tried it. We spent more time replacing the flags that were stolen than anything else. But you know what? We gave it a shot. We ended up putting in a raised crosswalk and some lighting and some different things. So we made some changes. But this was stepping outside the comfort zone, trying something from another state. It was low cost, a couple of signs, a couple of flags. But after a while, the flags got to be a little expensive. Funding opportunities. Everybody knows that they're tight. They're tight. But you don't always have to just be looking to the state safety office for grant funds. Not that we don't appreciate. It's just that, you know, they're just one pot, and their pot can only go so far. And there's a lot of need out there. So you've got to be willing to look at other locations. Your MPOs. In Seminole County, we were successful in starting or restarting, I don't know what you want to call it, a driver education on the road program for high school students. We offer it at 3 high schools, but any student can go. We raised $486,000 to get the program started. $486,000. And we did that by starting with our MPO. And we went to our cities and we made presentations. And if anybody's gone to an MPO, you know, they have a board, but they have all these committees. So anytime before you can get to the board, you got to get approval through all the committees. So when you make your presentation, be prepared because you're going to make it probably 10 times. And if you have a DOT representative that's forced to sit in the room for every single committee meeting, feel bad for them because they're going to hear your presentation every single time. But it's worth it because we have had driver education on the road at 3 high schools for credit, 4 high school credit, since I think 2009 or 2008 or 9. So that was something that we did. Save Kids Worldwide. Now I've still got that on there because I'm hoping their grant program will come back one day. You know, for those of you in the child passenger safety industry, you know those are dry docks right now. But I keep hoping that they'll get a sponsor. In-kind contributions. Don't be afraid to go talk to your Toyota dealer or your veteran of foreign wars, whatever. Just talk to them, because there are people out there who are looking for a good project and a good cause. Volunteer hours and donations. So that's a little bit of the history, but I just want to remind you all of one thing. The Community Traffic Safety Team Coalition is a group of volunteers. They are driven by volunteers. It is not mandated nor managed by the Florida Department of Transportation, nor should it be. It is a group of volunteers who are working as partners with the Florida Department of Transportation, with your county engineers, with your city engineers, with your fire departments, with your police departments. It is a voluntary organization, and it can only be as good as what we give to it. And I think Art said it best. We need to be great again. And there's a lot of great people in this room with a lot of great and tremendous ideas and potential. And I'd love, love, love to see this team, this coalition, go back to what it was, but better. So thank you all. If you have any questions about the history of, I may not get my dates right because I'm a little bit older now, but I'll do the best I can. So thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it very much, and I'm going to turn it back over.